Week 4 just wrapped up, and it looks like the scriptwriter really wanted to make it as difficult as possible to pick games this season with all these upsets. But anyways, before I get into my Week 4 picks, I'd really appreciate it if whoever ends up watching this video leaves some feedback in the comments on what I could do to improve. How could I make my editing more entertaining? How could I make the thumbnail look better? Is the audio ever too loud or too quiet? I'd love to know these things. And if you do like the video, please let me know that too. But I won't waste any more time. Let's get right into the Thursday night game, the Cowboys at the Giants. The Cowboys have definitely been underwhelming so far, but the Giants are the Giants. Yes, they beat the Browns, but beating Deshaun Watson in 2024 is not something I'm going to give you a pat on the back for. I don't want to spend much time talking about this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that the Cowboys bounce back and win 27-17. Next up is the Bengals at the Panthers, and I think it's time to start panicking if you're the Bengals. There's no excuse to be losing to the Washington Commanders at home in prime time. It's gotten to a point where I don't even have confidence they can beat the Carolina Panthers anymore, which is not a sentence I ever thought I'd say. Can the new look Andy Dalton Panthers pull off 2 upsets in a row? I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest. But I am going to say that the Bengals finally get that first win, 24-20. On to the Saints at the Falcons, and this is a bit of a tough pick. I feel like between the Falcons, the Saints, and the Buccaneers, it's really hard to say who's better than who. They all just seem like slightly above average teams. However, because this game is played in Atlanta, I am going to give the slight edge to the Falcons. I'll say they take this one 24-21. Now for the Jaguars at the Texans, and it is getting ugly in Jacksonville. Even with the Texans coming off of an ugly loss in Minnesota, I have a hard time seeing them lose to this Jaguars team at home. I'll say the Texans hand the Jags a 30-17 loss. Next up is the Broncos at the Jets. Both teams are coming off dominant wins, and Bo Nix looked a lot better against the Buccaneers. However, I'm still going to go with the Jets here. I don't think there's much to say, they're just the better team, and I'm going to say they take it 20-17. Now we got the Vikings at the Packers, and I had a hard time deciding who to pick for this one. I was going to roll with the Packers, but I just know that the one time I have faith in them, they're going to let me down. And against that Vikings defense, I have a hard time seeing Malik Willis continue to look like he's not a scrub. The Vikings proved they're for real last week, and I'm going to pick them to win 23-17. Now we've got the Steelers at the Colts, and I am by no means an Anthony Richardson hater, but he's very turnover prone, and you better believe that Pittsburgh defense is going to feast on that. With the Colts defense looking suspect on top of that, I'm going to say the Steelers take this one on the road 21-17. Now for the Rams at the Bears, and it's difficult to pick the Rams to win a game with all the injuries they have, but if they can beat the 49ers, then why wouldn't they beat the Bears? The Bears do have a good defense, but even decimated with injuries, I still believe in the Rams more than Chicago. I'm going to give it to the Rams in an ugly 20-17 game. Now for the Eagles at the Buccaneers, and this should be a really good game. The Eagles have looked sloppy, so it's easy to forget that they're one bad drop away from being 3-0 right now. And as for the Bucs, I'm curious to see how they bounce back after an ugly loss to an inferior opponent like Denver. I don't know if this counts as an upset, but I am actually going to roll with the Buccaneers here. I think they're going to bounce back at home 24-20. Now for the Patriots at the 49ers. The 49ers have been floundering, and I've enjoyed every second of it. But unfortunately, I expect them to get back on track this game. I think when it comes to talent, there's a gap a mile wide between the 49ers and the Patriots. Even with some key injuries, I'm going to take the 49ers to beat the Patriots 20-16. Next up is the Commanders at the Cardinals, and this is honestly one of the toughest picks of the week for me. The Commanders are coming off of a straight up dominant performance over the Bengals, and the Cardinals are another team that I think is better than what their expectations were at the start of the year. However, even with all the explosiveness the Cardinals have on offense, I can't overlook a performance like the Commanders just had in Cincinnati. I'm going to roll with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders to get a 27-24 win in Arizona. Now for the Chiefs at the Chargers, and the Chargers had a lot of players go down with injury, including Justin Herbert. I'm not sure if Herbert's gonna be out week 4, but this team still seems pretty beat up, and regardless of if their key players play or not, I was gonna pick the Chiefs anyway. I'll give it to the Chiefs 23-13. Browns at Raiders is next up, and this is another difficult game to pick. These two teams are the epitome of not being awful, but being decidedly below average. And while both teams' strengths are supposed to be their defenses, it certainly didn't look like it last week. This one is really a crapshoot, but at the end of the day, I trust Gardner Minshew and even Aiden O'Connell more than I trust Deshaun Watson. So I'm gonna give it to the Raiders 20-17. I expect this game to be awful to watch. And now we've got a can't-miss game on Sunday night. The Bills at the Ravens. The Bills have far exceeded my expectations so far, whereas the Ravens have definitely fallen short. But I think they're still both two of the heavyweights of the AFC. But with all that said, I've been a lot more impressed with the Bills than I have been with the Ravens. I think Josh Allen and the Bills are going to go on the road and beat the Ravens 27-21. Now we've got the Titans at the Dolphins on Monday night. And talk about an unappealing game to watch, unless you're just there to laugh at whatever Will Levis is doing. Whoever's starting at quarterback for the Dolphins, I think they're just screwed until Tua comes back. I think the Titans finally get their first win here, 20-10. And finally, we have the Seahawks at the Lions. Only the Seahawks could find a way to make a 21-point win against Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle still feel stressful. But they took care of business. The Seahawks have had the Lions' number in the Dan Campbell era, beating them in a shootout in both 2022 and 2023. But as they say, it's hard to beat a good team twice, and it's especially hard to beat a good team thrice. So I'm gonna say the Lions finally get one back against us, 23-20. And there you have it. There's all my picks. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. And again, I really would appreciate any feedback you have.